Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Akajatassa ve nandi, nandi jatassa ve agam, anandi anigho bhikkhu, evaṁ janadhi marisati. Dear listeners, this is the eighth sermon on dependent origination. The tangle of life and rebirth, birth and rebirth, is because of the linguistic pattern. Earlier, we talked about the all beings in the entire world are tangled in the linguistic patterns. As an example, when you see the phone, it is just seeing to you, nothing else, just seeing. If I explain dependent origination again, I have to tell we can get the example like looking at a phone. If you have a ignorant mindset, you will take the phone as a thing without taking it as just a seeing, just cognizing, just as a cognition. You don't know preparation is stress. You don't know conceiving a duality is cause to stress. So you don't know about the suffering. You don't know the cause of suffering is the craving to take the duality. You don't know if I don't take this duality, if I don't crave to take this duality, if I not cling to the world as things, there is no stress, there is no suffering. You don't know that. And you don't know the way to cease the suffering. Come to right vision and make your thoughts to abandon the worldly things, be moral and live with a right livelihood, and do more effort with the right mindfulness to a right concentration. You don't know the way to cease the suffering, the noble eightfold path. So because of the ignorance, once you look at your phone, you take it as a thing, as a phone. Once you think about the phone, the word phone, you have an idea. Please close your eyes and concentrate what I'm telling. Once you look at your phone, you, you feel the name phone is a real thing. If I cognize or not, the phone is existing. If I cognize or not, my eyes are existing. That's why I told you worldly beings are tangled with linguistic patterns and they stand on language. Because of this ignorance, they catch to the worldly things like visuals, sounds, tastes, smells, and tangibles. If you don't take those things as a thing, that means you should know the phone is just a concept. Phone is just a concept. Once Lord Buddha had preached, the perception is the primary level of language or speech. What you perceive, what you perceive, that you spoke, that you speak. But perception is an illusion. You perceive the phone and you speak it as the phone. But that word is just a language, just words, just a sound. But once you talk about the phone, once you hear the word of phone, word phone, mind creates you an independent phone, an independent person who's experiencing. After that, you feel if I cognize or not, there is an independent established phone. In this manner, you may think Lord Buddha also has spoken with the words of I, mine, my, like that way. If he don't have a conceiving about I, then why is he speak spoken with those words? Lord Buddha and Arahants take the language as only as a communicational matter, nothing else. Language just for communication, not for standing, not for get a footing, not to take it as a thing, not to be established on it. Language just for communication. But the worldly beings enslaved with that language and think, I am experiencing. There's a real phone. This one is phone like that. However, because of this ignorance, there's preparations. Because of these preparations, what are the preparations? As phone and eye, eye and visual, sound and ear, body and my hand and the phone. You're preparating. Because of the preparating, because of preparations, there's cognitions, consciousness. How? Cognition means, preparation means make the duality. Just conceiving. Sorry, just cognizing. There's a phone and I'm looking at it. Cognize that. That is called cognition. Because of those preparations, as world and eye, body and tangible, visual and eye, so your cognizing is working again and again. It empowers your cognition, your cognizing. Because of this cognizing, the name and form continuously reflect on the cognition as the reflect of the phone is the form, and there is sensations, perceptions, volitional activities, contact and attention is there. The name and form, it's like a body with nerve system and brain, a working body. In one sutta, Lord Buddha has explained ettavata jayetava, ettavata jiyetava, ettavata maretava, ettavata adivachanapato, ettavata niruktipato, ettavata panyattipato, ettavata vipassana maggo, yadidam vattang vattati naman namarupam saha vijnana. That means because of the circle of name and form, because of that, we have to reborn, we have to decay, we have to die. And because of the cycle of name and form, we can make synonyms in the speech. That means adivachanapatu. Then we can make niruktipatu. That means uh, like we can get the answer, get the explanation by dividing a word to parts, like prefix, suffixes, and so on. Because of this circle, there's nirukti, and there's panyapti concepts. Panyapti means as a phone, a word. It's a concept. Desk, chair, because of the name and the cycle of name and form. And it is the place to go to wisdom also. What is that? The circle of name and form. Look, once you look at the phone, you can, there's a name and form. That means the body, then it's working. There's sensations, perceptions, intentions, contact and volitional contact and attention. Because of those, you have to, because of the body is working. Because of that, once your eye and visual come together, meet together, you feel a cognition in your eye. There's eye cognition. Then again, you feel the name and form as that eye cognition of the eye. The main points in Buddhism are, without a body, first one is, without a body, there is no any naming system. That means there is no any, without a body or external reflection, there is no any naming system. That means a brain or nerve system. If there's no any naming system, we can't talk about a body. That is the second one. Third one, without a name and form, without a body, what is working, we can't talk about a cognition. The fourth one, if there's no any cognition, we can't talk about a body or naming, a working body. We can't talk about a working body. So we must know name wants form, form wants name and form needs cognition, cognition needs name and form. So you need name and form to cognize. Then what do you cognize? You cognize a name and form. Because of your body, as you can feel the body and sensations, perceptions, intentions, contact and attention, then with the addition of eye and visual, you feel an eye consciousness. Because of that eye consciousness, it reflects what? It reflects a name and form. Form is the phone, naming with your body, and form is the body and the phone. The naming is the feelings, sensations, perceptions. Sensations, perceptions, intentions, contact and attention. And again, because of the working body, you feel a consciousness or cognition. And what you cognize a name and form. So the main thing is you need to understand this movement is just a cognition according to your experience. You're enslaved to the worldly things because of these linguistic patterns. The knowing, cognizing means name and form, reflection of a external thing and just naming. And because of the naming, you cognize it. So once you understand this, you just have to be aware, 100% aware in present moment. Abandon the future and past and detach to the present moment also. So because of that consciousness, because the consciousness is working as phone and I, then again and again, name and form working. There's a phone and uh, you make naming according to a phone. That is name and form is reflecting. Because of this name and form, you mix an established dualities according to yourself. As if I cognize or not, there is an I and visuals are there. If I cognize or not, there are sounds and ears are there. If I cognize or not, nose and smells are there. If I cognize or not, tongue and taste there. If I cognize or not, body and tangibles are there. If I cognize not, there is mind and thoughts are there. That is our normal thinking pattern. Because name and form reflecting. Because of these six sense bases, once some one some senses meet together, it makes a contact as, oh, here's the sound, here's the ears, and I'm listening. Once you hear the sound, once you look at the phone, already because of the ignorance, you have an idea. If I think or not, this phones are there. Then once you look at it, you feel to get it. Then you feel there's a phone, there is my eyes, and I'm looking. Because of this contact, it makes sensations. If you take the phone as a thing, an established thing, which experiencing by me now, it can makes you unpleasant. Once it broken, it can makes you pleasant, or it is so expensive. It may can make neither pleasant nor unpleasant sensation. And because of the sensations, because of sensations, there's craving to gain again and again the pleasant sensation, to keep it to neither pleasant nor unpleasant sensations, and get rid from the and because of the craving, you cling it as a thing, and because of the clinging, you feel an existence as a world I'm living. Because of the existence, you have to born in another place. Once the karma is finished according to this body, as a transferring of fire, a tree to another tree, in a wildfire. Once, again and again, you may feel name and forms to your cognition, then you cognize it. In one time, the cognizing will over. Then you may cognize in another body. So, but if you clearly abandon, cease the ignorance remainlessly, if you remainlessly cease the ignorance as taking it as a thing, there is no preparations any longer as a form, as a thing. There's no conceivings. The cognition is non-manifestive, non-reflective. Cognizing, just cognizing. That's why Lord Buddha has preached once some gods look into some arahants, the people who are enlightened. The gods worship them in a, when they see arahants in far away, they worship because they can't find where's his mind footed on. Because why? The cognition is non-reflective. It not manifests anything, any idea. There is no cognition, there is no name and form. Name and form will not find a footing. No name and form, no sense, no idea about established dualities. There's no sex and spaces, there is no contact. When there are no contact, there is no sensations. Sensations will not find a footing. There are no sensations, there's no craving, there's no clicking. Because of without clinging, there is no any concept of existence. Because of that, there is no longer suffering. So what we talk about, the worldly beings enslaved to the linguistic patterns. We talk about a phone and we think the word phone as a thing, and we get footed on that words in this language, in the grammar. But that angle also is there. Once you look at the phone, there is just seeing, just cognizing. So we can go to the sermon again. The today's theme stanza is Agajathas ve Nandi, Nandi Jathas ve Agam. Anandi Aniguhu Bhikkhu Evang Jana Hi Marisa. Joy is for him who is stricken with grief, and grief is for him who becomes joyful. But as for a monk, friend who friend know this as a fact. He is neither joyful nor does he grieve. One day, some deity named Kakuda came to the Lord Buddha. According to the discourse in Samyutta Nikaya, when the Lord Buddha was dwelling at the deer park in Anjana forest, that deity named Kakuda approached him in the night and asked, "Dear Lord, do you rejoice?" Lord Buddha retorted, "On getting what, friend?" Then the deity asked, "If that is so, Lord, do you grieve?" The Lord Buddha replied, on losing what, friend?" Then again asks from the Lord Buddha, "Well, then you, Lord, you neither rejoice nor grieve," said the deity, and the Lord Buddha affirms it, saying, "That is so, friend." The deity was also curious to know whether the Lord Buddha is dissatisfied with the monk's life as he's sitting all alone, now that he says he's neither delights nor grieves. The Lord Buddha responds with that stanzas as joy is for him who is stricken with grief. Joy need to a person who is in grief. If someone in grief, he needs the joy. Then joy is for a person who enjoy, he it will convert into grief. But as for a monk, friend knows this as a fact. He is neither joyful nor does he grieve. If a person in the present moment with 100% awareness, he will not have any joy, he don't have any grief, always in equanimity. Joy, you may feel the joy is very nice, or we need to be joy, we need to be rejoice. But once we experience the joy, there is also some tiredness in the joy also. But the equanimity, like like a higher concentration level, 100% awareness, you don't need any rejoice or grief. So that's what Nibbana is even called Avedaita Sukha, a bliss free from sensation, since all three grades of feelings are in the highest sense reckoned as suffering. That's why so many people cling to the Nibbana also. Nibbana means nothing, stilling of all preparations, relinquishment of all assets. There is four way to develop the meditations. One is Samatha Pubbangama Vipassana. That means he first, normally the people who has not who have not good wisdom, the Samatha Pubbangama Vipassana method is better for him. That means he firstly do a concentration meditation and make his mind calm. Then they can meditate. Then they can meditate insight meditations and can achieve the reality. Another method called Vipassana Pubbangama Samatha. That that way too for the wise people. They understand the Dhamma by listening. Because of that understanding, they can make their mind calm. After that understanding, they can develop a concentration by that. The another method is, third method is Samatancha Vipassanacha Yuganandham Bhaveti. That means he developed both concentration and insight together. I find examples as 16 steps on Anapanasati, mindfulness in breathing and breathe out, and the meditation of six sense spaces. Those two I found as Yugananda meditations. Then the fourth one is Bhikkhuno Dhammanudacha Viggaiha Manasam Hoti. That means there's some there comes a time when his mind becomes settled. First, firstly, some monks whose mind is in conflict due to restless thoughts. Then there's a way. There comes a time when his mind becomes settled within, gets one pointed and concentrated. So in this, that's why we teach you to don't abandon your effort. If you got so many thoughts, but keep your effort and just know my mind is go out with thoughts. Just understand that with the mindfulness. Be strengthen your mindfulness. Then in some time, your mind will settled. When it becomes settled, you get insight through it. Those are the ways. As another aspect, I'll tell another story. In the Kemaka Sutta, a group of elder monks were dwelling at Gositarama in Kosambi town. A monk named Kemaka, who was sick, was dwelling at um, Badarikarama in Kosambi itself. Those elders asked a monk named Dasaka to go and inquire about the health of that sick monk. When Venerable Dasaka went and inquired, Venerable Kemaka told him that he is seriously ill and that pains are increasing. When Venerable Dasaka brought that news, the elder monks asked him to go there and there again and ask Venerable Kemaka whether he regards any of the five aggregates of clinging: form, sensations, perceptions, preparations, volitional activities, and consciousness. As this is mine, this is I am, and this is myself. Venerable Dasaka did as he was instructed, and Venerable Kemaka answered, friend, in regard to these five aggregates of clinging, I do not I do not look upon any one of them as mine or myself, but I am not an inflex-free arahant. I'm not an arahant, but I don't conceive those things as I or mine or myself, but I am not an arahant. I have the notion I am in regard to these five, but I do not look upon any of them as this is I. Whether the Venerable Dasaka went and reported Venerable Kemaka's explanation to the elders, they were still puzzled and sent back Venerable Dasaka to get further clarification. This time, on hearing Venerable Dasaka's request for, for clarification, Venerable Kemaka said, enough, friend Dasaka. What is the use of running up and down? Get me my walking stick. I will myself go and see those elders. So he went with his walking stick to the elders and explained, what I said is true. I'm not an arahant, but I am. But this is my position. I do not see any of the aggregates as mine, but I have a residual, subtle conceit. Am, I am, a subtle desire as I am. Then he gives us simile, just as friends. There is smell in a blue or red or white lotus. Whoever says that the smell comes from the petal or from the color or from the filament, is he speaking rightly? Others replied, no, friend. Then again he asked, then then how can one explain it rightly? Then one explained, one has to say that it is the smell of the flower. That is all one can say about it. So even so, friend, I do not see any of the aggregates as myself. However, there is in me a subtle conceit as I am. Like that way, now we talk about an anagami person, a non-returner. So non-returner can't see anytime he don't conceive uh, as those form the body sensations, perceptions, volitional activities, and cognitions as mine or I or myself. He just understand it, but he just have a small subtle conceiving as I, like conceiving as am, like we are. I am in somewhere like that. Then he has given another thing. If there's a dirty cloth, someone can wash it. Then someone wash the soap, wash it with the soap. After the washing, we can find we may feel the the smell of the soap, like that way. But once we again put it in a box or a proper place, then its smell will cease. The smell of soap will cease. Like that way, by constant contemplation of the five aggregates within sight, even that residual conceit is eradicated and one attains arahanthood. The extraordinary thing about this recent explanation by Venerable Khemaka is that on hearing it, all the 60 monks who listened to him became arahants, and he himself attained the arahanthood by intuiting into his own insightful explanation. So the most important thing is the attention. Normally we pay our attention in a wrong manner, but now we have to pay our attention to the originating place. When we mix the duality as world and me, as visual and eye, sound and ear, once we contemplate on that originating place, we will never cling with the worldly things. If you feel I can understand, but I cling to those things automatically, then you have to practice more and more. If you continue your practice, you can see a progress very soon, which can, which is unexpected. You can have an unexpected progress, but you need to continue your practice. So I wish you all to be a person who is who has no joys, who has no rejoice, who has no grief, that we call arahant. So you all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this very life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.